The bell above the cafe door rings, and the morning rush hums like a heartbeat. Elena's hands shake slightly as she carries a tray of steaming coffee cups, her smile trained but tired. Across the room, Alexander Pierce types on his phone, his tailored suit gleaming like armor under the warm cafe lights. When she leans in to serve, her wrist slips. A wave of dark coffee splashes across his chest. The room freezes. No one breathes. His eyes lift, cold and calculating, and for a heartbeat, she feels the weight of a man who could ruin her with a word. But instead of begging, she whispers something. Quiet, trembling, piercing through the air like truth itself. His jaw tightens. His phone slips from his hand. What did she just say? And why does it feel like he's heard those words before? The cafe returns to sound, the hiss of milk, the scrape of chairs, but the air stays heavy. Elena's breath comes shallow, her heart thudding in her ears. Maya ushers her to the back, whispering comfort she doesn't feel. Outside, Alexander stands in the drizzle, coat unbuttoned, eyes distant. He should be angry. He should demand payment or apology. But all he can hear is her whisper repeating in his head. She forgave you. Alexander's driver, David, opens the car door, but he doesn't enter. He stands in the drizzle, face tilted to the gray sky. Something in him trembles, the echo of a voice long gone. He remembers another morning, another spill, another woman with kind eyes. His late wife's laughter flashes like lightning in his memory. Back inside, Elena wipes the counter, trying to calm her shaking hands. Her whisper had come out without thought, like someone else had spoken through her. Maya watches from the corner, pretending to rearrange cups. She forgave you. The words haunt the air, even though no one knows what they mean. Night falls. The cafe empties. Elena stares at the closed sign, lost in thought. Across town, Alexander sits in his penthouse, the coffee stain still marking his shirt like a wound. He replays her whisper again and again. How could a stranger know the words his wife said before she died? Morning light spills over the glass towers of Manhattan as Alexander Pierce sits alone in his penthouse office, staring at the faint brown stain that still marks his tailored cuff. He hasn't slept. The whisper won't leave him. She forgave you. He's replayed it in his mind 100 times, each repetition cutting deeper than the last. His assistant knocks softly, but he doesn't respond. On his desk lies a photograph of his late wife, Lila. The same soft eyes, the same gentle tilt of her smile that once made him human. Now, a stranger's voice has dragged her ghost back into his world, and Alexander can't decide if it's madness or mercy. Down in the cafe, Elena scrubs the counter harder than necessary, trying to erase memory itself. But it lingers, like the ghost of coffee on air. Maya watches her from across the room, pretending to tally receipts. You okay? She asks gently, but Elena only nods. She doesn't know what came over her that day, what made her say those words. It felt like something beyond her own voice, like someone had borrowed her lips for a heartbeat. In the back seat of the limousine, David Harper glances at Alexander through the rearview mirror. The man looks hollow. The city passes in a blur of neon and rain, and for once, the billionaire isn't speaking into his phone. Sir, David begins carefully. You want to tell me what's going on? Alexander doesn't answer. He only murmurs, almost to himself. Find her. Hours later, Elena takes out the trash behind the cafe. The alley smells of rain and roasted beans. A soft breeze brushes her face and she freezes. The faint sound of a woman's laugh echoes down the alley, one she's never heard but somehow knows. The sound fades, leaving her heart pounding. She glances up toward the rooftop where a pigeon perches, then whispers to the dark, "Who are you?" Night again. Alexander stands before a massive computer screen displaying a list of names. Elena Vargas. He reads softly. A photo appears. Her cafe ID, faint smile. Tired eyes. Something inside him shifts. He doesn't know why she said those words, but he knows they were meant for him. For the first time in years, Alexander Pierce, the man who built empires, feels something he can't control. The pull of truth. The cafe door opens with a soft chime, and the sound feels heavier than it should. Elena looks up, cloth in hand, heart stuttering. Alexander Pierce steps in, no longer dressed like a god of the skyline, but in a simple gray coat and open collar, as if he's trying to remember how to be human. Conversations hush. Maya freezes mid-sentence. He doesn't look angry, just searching. Elena's pulse quickens as he walks toward her table. "You remember me," he says quietly. She nods, unable to speak. His voice is softer now, not cold, but almost fragile. "I need to know why you said that." For a long moment, neither speaks. The hiss of the espresso machine fills the silence. Elena lowers her gaze, words trembling on her lips. I don't know why I said it," she admits. Alexander steps closer. "You said she forgave you." His voice cracks. No one knew those words but her. Maya takes a slow step back, sensing something too intimate for witness. The cafe feels smaller now, the walls closing in around two people bound by an invisible thread. Alexander exhales, voice low. "My wife used to say that, the night before she died. Those were her last words." Elena's eyes fill with confusion and sympathy. She steps closer, lowering her voice. "Maybe she wanted you to hear them again." The words hang between them like fragile glass. Alexander blinks hard, trying to steady himself. His whole life, contracts, power, silence, feels suddenly paper-thin. Maya closes the cafe early, locking the door as the rain begins to fall outside. Alexander and Elena sit at a corner table now, coffee untouched between them. He tells her everything. About his wife, the accident, the guilt he never buried. Elena listens, silent tears streaking her cheeks. When he finishes, she whispers, "You've punished yourself long enough." Her words are simple, but they land like absolution. When Alexander leaves, the rain has stopped. The city glows in wet reflections. He walks slowly. No phone, no driver, no umbrella. For the first time in years, he feels the rain-soaked wind on his face without flinching. Behind him, inside the cafe, Elena watches from the window. She doesn't know what he'll do next, but she feels a strange peace, as if something larger has shifted. Across the street, the reflection of a woman in a white dress flickers briefly in the glass, smiling at him before fading into the dawn. The next morning, Alexander sits at his desk again, but this time, his reflection in the glass feels like a stranger. He's spent the night replaying Elena's words and the echo of his wife's laughter. The city outside hums with indifferent life. On his desk lies an old photo album, Lila's. The first page shows a young woman in a cafe apron, her arm around another waitress. His breath catches. The second woman is Elena. His pulse quickens. The connection he couldn't explain is now written in ink. In the cafe, Elena sits in the break room sipping coffee that's gone cold. Maya leans against the doorframe, studying her. "You've been somewhere else lately?" she says softly. Elena smiles faintly. "Just thinking about someone I used to know." But as she says it, a faint image flickers behind her eyes. Lila's face, smiling, sunlight in her hair. It's not memory, it's something deeper. That afternoon, Alexander returns to the cafe, this time with the photograph in hand. He waits until the crowd thins, then lays it gently on the counter. Elena's hand trembles as she sees it. That's her. The photo shows two smiling waitresses, arms around each other. Alexander's voice shakes. "My wife, you knew her." Silence stretches. Elena nods slowly. She taught me everything. She was the kindest person I ever met. Tears form in his eyes. For the first time, they speak her name together. Lila. They sit at the same corner table Lila once loved. Elena speaks quietly, telling him how Lila used to volunteer, laugh with strangers, bring leftover pastries to the shelter. How she spoke about him with pride and pain. She said you were lost inside your own walls, Elena whispers. Alexander's throat tightens. The cafe grows silent, as if the world itself were listening to her memory breathe. As dusk falls, Alexander walks along the riverside where he once scattered Lila's ashes. Elena follows a few steps behind, unsure if she should speak. He stops, staring at the rippling water, voice breaking. I thought money could drown guilt. He turns slightly, eyes glistening. But it just made it echo louder. Elena steps beside him, placing her hand gently on his arm. She forgave you long before you ever asked. The wind carries her words over the darkening river. The morning headlines hit like a storm. Alexander Pierce, once untouchable, now plastered across every screen. Pierce Industries faces internal scandal. The boardroom buzzes with panic, but Alexander barely listens. His thoughts are still at the river. The world demands a response, yet all he can hear is Elena's voice telling him that forgiveness doesn't come from silence. It comes from truth. For the first time, he feels the weight of everything he's built pressing down, not as success, but as a cage. Meanwhile, Elena wipes the cafe windows, glancing up at the muted TV in the corner showing his face. Maya turns down the volume, watching her closely. You care about him, she says softly. Elena hesitates, cloth frozen mid-swipe. I care that he finally sees himself. Outside, rain begins to fall again, soft and rhythmic, like the world's quiet applause for something breaking open. That night, Alexander stands before a sea of reporters. Cameras flash like lightning. He doesn't read the speech written for him. Instead, he speaks from somewhere raw. I've spent my life pretending perfection was strength, but all it did was hide my fear. The crowd quiets. The people who mattered most saw through me, and I never listened. The flashes fade, leaving only his voice. I can't fix the past, but I can start by telling the truth. In the quiet that follows, Elena closes the cafe and watches his speech replay on a small tablet. His voice trembles, but it's honest. Maya sets down a cup beside her and smiles faintly. Looks like he finally learned how to speak without money. Elena nods, wiping away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. Outside, the rain has stopped, leaving the city wrapped in soft mist. Alone in his penthouse that night, Alexander looks out over the city lights. For years, this view made him feel powerful. Now it makes him feel small in the best way. He removes his cufflinks, the same ones from the day of the spill, and sets them on the table beside a framed photo of Lila. You were right, he whispers. I was lost. Then softer. But I think I'm finding my way back. His phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. She'd be proud of you. He smiles, and for the first time, it feels real. The cafe bell rings again, but this time the sound feels softer, almost sacred. Elena turns and freezes. Alexander stands in the doorway, not in his expensive suit, but in simple clothes, a dark sweater, jeans, rain still clinging to his shoulders. His eyes are different now, humble, human. The few morning customers glance between them as he steps closer, his movements hesitant. Elena sets down her cup. You shouldn't be here, she whispers. He nods slowly. I know, but I need to be. Alexander approaches the counter slowly, the sound of his footsteps muffled by the hum of the espresso machine. I came to apologize, he says. His voice trembles, stripped of power. Not just for that day, for everything I've become. Elena's eyes fill, but she stays silent. The air feels heavy, thick with unspoken understanding. When he lowers his gaze, something inside her softens. The man who once ruled boardrooms now can barely meet her eyes. Without warning, Alexander steps back and drops to one knee. The cafe goes silent. "I don't expect forgiveness," he says, voice breaking. "I just needed to thank you for reminding me I'm still capable of being good." Elena's breath catches. "Please don't," she whispers, glancing around, but he stays there, motionless, eyes glistening. She steps forward, trembling, and places a hand gently on his shoulder. "Get up," she says softly. "You already did." Maya steps out from the back, stopping mid-step when she sees Alexander kneeling. The sight steals her breath. She looks to Elena, who simply nods, eyes wet. Maya turns away, blinking fast, whispering under her breath. "About time someone did." The espresso machine hisses behind her like applause. Outside, the clouds part, letting sunlight pour in through the window. The moment passes into stillness. Alexander rises, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "Thank you," he whispers. Elena nods, smiling faintly. "Go live like she wanted you to." He looks at her one last time, then turns to leave. As the door closes behind him, the cafe feels lighter, the air clearer. Outside, the street glows under a new sun. For the first time in years, Alexander Pierce walks without weight on his shoulders. A month later, the cafe opens under golden morning light. Elena hums softly as she arranges pastries in the display case. The air feels different, lighter, fuller. Maya brews the first batch of coffee, the rich aroma filling the quiet space. The bell rings. When Elena looks up, she doesn't see a billionaire. She sees Alexander in a simple apron, balancing 2 cups. "You said you needed help." He smiles gently. She laughs, shaking her head. "I didn't mean like this." He shrugs. Too late. The warmth between them feels like sunrise after a long night. The day unfolds slowly. Alexander wipes tables while Elena takes orders, their laughter blending with the soft jazz playing overhead. A customer spills coffee, and for a heartbeat, Elena freezes, then smiles, handing over a napkin. No harm done. Alexander watches, a small grin forming. Life has come full circle, not as punishment, but grace. Later that afternoon, Alexander sits at a corner table by the window, staring out at the sunlit street. He closes his eyes, remembering Lila's voice, the laughter, the warmth, the forgiveness. When he opens them, he sees Elena refilling someone's cup, her smile soft, familiar. He realizes she wasn't just a stranger who reminded him of the past. She was the bridge that carried him back to living. Evening descends, painting the sky in streaks of rose and gold. The last customers leave, and the cafe grows quiet. Alexander wipes the counter, and Elena flips the sign to close. "You know," he says with a faint smile, "I never thought I'd feel at home anywhere again." She glances at him. "Home isn't a place, Alexander. It's what's left when you stop running." Outside, streetlights flicker on, one by one. The next morning dawns clear and bright. Elena opens the cafe alone for once, breathing in the scent of roasted beans and rain-washed air. She looks to the counter. 2 aprons hang side by side. She smiles. Outside, Alexander walks by, hands in his pockets, sunlight glinting off his watch. He glances through the window, their eyes meeting just long enough for a quiet nod. No grand gestures, no promises, just peace. The bell rings softly as he walks on, and Elena pours the first coffee of a new day, carefully, steadily, without a single drop spilled.